The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
Tonight on The Agenda.
We're one of the highest per capita greenhouse gas emitters in the world. So we must. We've made a commitment to reduce emissions. And I guess I want to be clear, Chris, are you saying Canada should not meet its global climate targets?
I don't understand why people are so married to a carbon tax that is not reducing emissions in Canada as a way to solve a global emissions issue.
For an anti-pollution policy that's been in place for more than 5 years, it's perhaps a bit surprising that so many Canadians still don't understand how the federal carbon pricing policy works. Everyone calls it the carbon tax, but of course there is a rebate aspect to it as well. Tonight we'll debate the merits and problems with the policy, but first we hit the streets of Ontario's capital city to see what you thought of it.
Can you tell me what a carbon tax is and why do we have them?
I am not exactly sure what it is. I think it has something to do with the fact that we all pay taxes on the amount of carbon that maybe Canada puts into the atmosphere.
I have no idea about it.
People are the ones being taxed for it. However, the majority of the carbon is created by the companies and these factories, manufacturers, but they're not getting taxed.
Carbon tax, it's a tax protecting our environment.
It's an environmentally aware program that's trying to get us to pay for environmental responsibility.
This is a tax you charge the citizens.
Actually, it's like a government tax, and I don't know why we have it.
Can you tell me what a carbon tax is and why do we have them?
Sorry, I don't know. I know why we have carbon tax, but I'm not a fan of it.
So the carbon tax has to do with fossil fuels, oil, the gasoline. It affects us with our automobiles. Why we have it, like all other taxes in Ontario, and it's very high.
Okay, with that, let's introduce our guests. In Lethbridge, Alberta, Chris Sims, Alberta Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And in the nation's capital, Stuart Elgee, Professor of Law and Economics at the University of Ottawa and Director of the Smart Prosperity Institute. And I'm grateful to both of you for joining us on TVO tonight for what I'm sure will be a smart debate about a controversial topic. Stuart, I want to start with you, and before we get into the specifics of this policy, let's just go back to first principles here. The Liberals brought in this policy. What was the problem that they hoped this policy would solve?
Sure. And the problem at its core is climate change. It's probably the greatest threat facing Canada and the world right now. We can talk about why, but Canada's emissions had been going up for 25 years since we signed the Global Climate Treaty. And in the last 6 years, since we've started bringing in serious climate policies, particularly carbon pricing, our emissions have started to come down. At the core, it's about tackling climate change. And I think people understand that the things scientists have been warning us about for years are now starting to happen. We've seen the 10 warmest years in recorded history have been in the past decade. Last year, we've seen record-breaking floods, fires. 200,000 Canadians were evacuated from their homes. The insurance industry paid out over $3 billion. Their payouts have quadrupled for property damage from climate change in the last 15 years, and insurance rates are going up. Canadians pay about $1,000 per taxpayer because of the impacts of climate change already, and it's going to get worse if we don't take action.
Okay.
The good news is we're starting to take action. The carbon price is the core of that action, and it's working.
All right, very good. Chris, do you agree that Canada contributes to climate change and that we ought to do something about it?
Well, if emissions are your key concern, I think we only need to date back to what the Prime Minister said a few years ago in French on the show Tout le monde en parle, where I'm paraphrasing, he basically said, well, Even if Canada stopped everything tomorrow, it still wouldn't make a dent in global emissions. And that's, of course, because Canada contributes less than 2% to global emissions. And so if your key concern is global emissions, then it's a real head scratcher why we're not just tackling the big end of the arithmetic problem. For example, in India, there are between 200 and 300 million people who burn wood scrap and animal dung every single day. Super heavy emissions. What they're asking us to sell them is natural gas, which would dramatically lower their actual emissions. And so taxing people $13 per minivan fill up in Mississauga is not going to impact global emissions, if that is your key concern. At the Taxpayers Federation, we've been highlighting for years the fact that this is costing Canadians big time every single year. For example, even with the rebates factored in, Steve, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has found that the average Alberta family, for example, will be out more than $900. That's net. That's with rebates factored in, considering economic factors. So that includes trucking, home heating, all that other stuff. And so this is our key concern, is that this is not making a change, and it's just making people spend more money and take more of their money out.
Stuart, are we so insignificant a part of global climate change that the carbon tax is bad policy?
Boy, if you follow that line of logic, we shouldn't contribute to global poverty relief. We shouldn't contribute to NATO. I mean, yeah, Canada's only 2% of world GDP and less than 2% of emissions. And Chris is right, it is a global problem. Finally, we actually have a global treaty since the Paris Agreement in 2015, where every country in the world has agreed to put a cap and ultimately to reduce their emissions. So I guess I want to just check, Chris, are you saying Canada shouldn't take action? We shouldn't reduce our emissions? Because right now there's only 2 countries in the world who've said they're not part of that treaty, and they're Iran and Libya. I mean, I don't think we want to join them as bedfellows. Every country in the world, including India, is saying that they're going to cap and reduce emissions. So I don't think it's a choice between one or the other. I don't think it's a choice between should Canada reduce its emissions or should we contribute to global solutions. We've got to do both. I mean, if Canada can't reduce our emissions, how can we expect other countries to? We're one of the highest per capita greenhouse gas emitters in the world. So we must. We've made a commitment to reduce emissions. And I guess I want to be clear, Chris, are you saying Canada should not meet its global climate targets?
I don't understand why people are so married to a carbon tax that is not reducing emissions in Canada as a way to solve a global emissions issue. For example, I'm from British Columbia. British Columbia has had a carbon tax since 2008. Outside of lockdown years, where the government was shutting down businesses, for example, in 2020, we have seen emissions steadily rise in British Columbia, along with the carbon tax. And back then, when the government first introduced the carbon tax in British Columbia in 2008, they said many things. They said it was going to stop at $30 per ton. They said it was going to reduce the emissions. And they said that it was going to create a plethora of alternative, affordable energies, so people could switch away from oil and gas. Today, none of those things is true. Not one of them. We are now tied to a mandatory minimum of $80 per ton for carbon. What that means in normal people talk is that it's 17 cents extra per liter of gasoline and 21 cents extra per liter of diesel. Despite this carbon tax, the emissions in British Columbia are regularly and steadily going up. The Trudeau government used British Columbia as its model for its federal carbon tax. So we think that we should separate these two issues. The carbon tax is simply impoverishing the lowest income folks and middle income folks who are trying to fill up their minivans to get to work, who are trying to buy groceries, and who are trying to heat their home. For example, here in Alberta, it's going to tack an extra $400 or so in home heating just to heat your home in the winter this year with natural gas.
Okay, Stuart, do you want to respond to that?
Sure. So, Chris, you've avoided my question about whether you think Canada should meet our emission targets. So I want to come back to that because I actually want to have a clear answer from you on that. But you're entitled to your opinion, but not your own facts. So since the carbon price came in Canada in 2019, our emissions are down 5.5%, while GDP is up 6%. That's before COVID and after COVID, so that's not about COVID.
You're also using, you're also using the 2020 and 2021 rates there, where people weren't allowed to leave and had to stay in their bubble.
Okay, hang on, we got to let Stuart finish his point. Go ahead, Stuart.
Let me finish, be fair. So this is when the economy's rebounded, right? The GDP is up 6% since the carbon price came in. Emissions are down 5.5. Those are the numbers. BC is not, what you said isn't correct. Since the carbon price came in, BC's emissions are down 1%, and its GDP has grown 42% in that period. And the reason it's only down 1% is because BC's oil and gas industry has doubled in that period. So the oil and gas industry, people forget, northeastern BC is actually an oil and gas producer. So it's almost a quarter of BC's emissions.
That. Lots of people don't forget that.
But so BC's emissions are down while its GDP growth has been higher.
No, they're not. You can take a look at the government data yourself. I've got the data sets on my computer.
Okay, well, people can look it up. So
that's not true.
BC's emissions are down 1%. They're not down, so they're not down a ton, but they're down a bit. And their GDP growth has been bigger than any province in the country in that time. And the reason they're not down even more is because the oil and gas industry's doubled. But so let's look at the whole country, though, right? That's the big picture.
How about we want to chat about affordability in a place like British Columbia and how the fact it's 2 carbon taxes are contributing to that?
Okay, folks,
let me impoverishing people and taking their money is not helping this issue. Carbon price
is generating about 40% of Canada's emission reductions. Almost half of our emission reductions come from the carbon price.
Okay, let me jump in here for a second, you two, and that is, Chris, as a general principle, do you think it is a good idea to reward companies and people who pollute less and make it more burdensome for companies and people who pollute more?
Are you talking about the industrial carbon tax or the consumer carbon tax? Because what we're tackling head on is the consumer carbon tax that people are paying to heat their homes, to drive to work, and to paying more for groceries. For example, farmers have to pay the carbon tax on natural gas that they use to heat their barns, so to keep chickens alive in minus 30 degrees all year round, okay? And to truck food to people. So if you say you're a trucker and you're filling up your big rig, to fill up those 2 diesel tanks now is going to cost you an extra $200 just in the carbon tax charge. This is helping to contribute to the increased cost of everything. Now, there are other ways to skin a cat. Why aren't folks talking more about capturing CO2 as a waste element instead of trying to tax people to death?
All right, let's go there right now. Let's go there right now. Stuart, the carbon tax and rebate policy is obviously one option of a number of options that the federal government considered before landing on the carbon tax and rebate. In your view, might there have been a better, more politically saleable option out there?
Well, so carbon tax and rebate, and it's important to put both halves of the equation, right? Because what Chris hasn't mentioned is that the average family in Ontario is going to get more than $1,000 back this year as a rebate from the carbon price. In Alberta, it's more like $2,000. That's a lot of money back. And it offsets, for most families, what they're paying in carbon price. Chris and I can debate, whether or not it completely offsets it. For some families it does, for some it doesn't. The parliamentary budget officer says the same thing. Some families come out ahead, most break even, particularly the highly wealthy families pay a bit more.
No, he said most don't, actually.
This is where what I want to hear from Chris is this, right? So there's a letter that came out a couple of weeks ago from 420 economists across Canada saying carbon price is driving down emissions and it is the lowest cost way to reduce emissions. So Chris, you may know something that most of Canada's economists don't know, but I want to hear from you. If you don't want to do it with carbon pricing and it's achieving about 40% of our emission reductions, how would you get that big chunk of emission reductions? You talked about capturing CO2, that'll get you 2 or 3% of it. So yeah, we should do that, and we are doing it. The government has put in place tax incentives. So there's a number of things. Carbon pricing isn't the only policy. We've brought in phasing out coal power, one of the biggest emitters in the world, and we brought that down. We're moving towards electric vehicles. We're reducing methane emissions from oil and gas. We're working on home energy efficiency and heating. The government is doing a number of different things, building codes, but carbon pricing is the centerpiece of it, and it's going to get us about 40% of the emissions we need to meet our global target.
Okay, let's let Chris speak to that.
Pricing, what do you want instead, Chris? How would you, if you're committed to reducing emissions, and you still haven't answered that question, if you're committed to it, what would you do instead to get that 40% of emission reduction?
Do I need to have an economics degree in order to answer this question?
I hope not.
I sure hope not, because I just wanted to really frame that. okay? Because average working people are struggling right now. We have record
But
numbers
how
of
would you
people.
reduce the emissions, Chris? How would you reduce them? If you don't use carbon pricing, what would we do instead? Or do you not care about reducing
For
them?
example, we have private companies that are capturing CO2 as an element in the air. Okay, they're taking it from the air and they're reusing it for things like fertilizer, pharmaceuticals, even vodka. Even the blue dye that goes into M&Ms is used from captured CO2. So why don't we let private companies actually capture this as an element instead of taxing average working people for the sin of heating their home and buying food and traveling around this big, cold country? So I just wanted to very, very firmly, excuse me, please let me finish. The Parliamentary Budget Officer did two different calculations, okay, in that report. One of them was the simple cost for cost. So say you're Monica in Mississauga, you're filling up your tiny hatchback. You're spending about $6.50 extra in the carbon tax. Now, based on that first calculation, you might get that fully back in a rebate. Fine. But what the Parliamentary Budget Officer also did was calculate the economic impact of that carbon tax for Monica. That includes her home heating, and that includes everything being more expensive because of the cost on trucking and the cost on farmers. Now you're out money. So I think it is important for us to look at the entire picture of the cost of the carbon tax in Canada before we start saying that you're made whole or better off. By this logic, keep in mind, if people generally, or in the majority, are made richer by having a higher carbon tax, why don't we make it $500 a ton? Everybody would be super rich. That's nonsense, okay? Everybody with common sense understands that that doesn't make any sense. People, on average, are out money because of the carbon tax. Further, if they weren't out money, two things. Why did Prime Minister Justin Trudeau make a carve-out for home heating oil for folks in the Maritimes if it wasn't really a financial burden? And two, where's the stick then? If people are magically getting carrots in their inbox all the time, in their bank accounts, because the carbon tax rebate makes them all rich, then where's the incentive to switch to something that actually doesn't exist for them?
All right, let me get Stuart, in particular, if you would speak to the carve-out that the Prime Minister recently gave to, I guess, mostly folks in the Maritimes, but also people in rural Canada who rely on home heating. Sorry, what's the expression I'm looking for here?
Furnace oil.
Furnace oil. There we go. Yeah. That seemed to a lot of people, including the former Minister of the Environment, Catherine McKenna, to undercut the entire argument behind the carbon tax and rebate plan to begin with. Speak to that, if you would.
Sure, and so I don't think that was a good decision, but let's put it in context. So the home heating oil carve-out is going to affect about 0.1% of Canada's emissions. They did it, for their own reasons. A lot of low-income families are using home heating oil, and the cost is high. So, but what they should have done is just increase the rebate. What they have done, though, in order to get at that problem, is they've given a rebate for families to install a heat pump. So you can get $10,000 to $15,000 to put a heat pump in your home as a way of reducing home heating oil use. And that's exactly the kind of choice I want to put to Chris. So what the government's done instead is a really expensive way of reducing emissions. And that's why I want to come back to this point that you keep trying not to answer, which is if we're going to deal with climate change, not just Canada, but the whole world, we've got to transition away from gas-powered cars. We've got to move to homes that are energy efficient and are heated with heat pumps and low emissions technologies. And so what we're doing now is we're using a mix of carrots and sticks. So yes, the carbon price encourages people, everyone can make their own choices, to move towards more energy efficient vehicles, more energy efficient home heating, and there's lots of choices for doing that. People can buy more higher efficiency cars. There's a $5,000 rebate for buying a hybrid car right now. There's an incentive to move to heat pumps. So yes, there's a price, but there's a government's giving people back a carbon rebate, and there's carrots. There's incentives for families to adopt these new technologies. If you don't want to use carbon pricing to move towards a world in which we have emissions-free cars and low-emissions buildings, how do you think we should do that? Or do you think it doesn't matter? Do you think we should just go on driving high polluting vehicles and not worry about climate change? Because I can tell you the 200,000 Canadians that got evacuated from their homes last summer, the people that are suffering through floods and fires, and it's just getting worse, are concerned about it. There are real costs to climate change, over $1,000 a working taxpayer right now in Canada, and it's going up. What do you think we should do about making that shift to a low carbon economy if we're not using carbon pricing? You've just given tiny solutions. You've said the oil industry should capture more emissions.
Let's let her respond.
Selling natural gas to India with 200 million people burning very heavy fuel is not a tiny solution.
But that means we shouldn't do anything? Just leave it up to India to solve climate change? But what about Canada? We're one of the biggest emitters in the world.
Okay, are you ready? Okay, Canada is sitting on a wealth of natural gas, which is very, very low emissions, very low particulate emissions compared to other fuels. India, a gigantic country and a democracy, is asking to please purchase our natural gas. You're looking at the big end of the arithmetic problem, that is going to reduce your global emissions. To our point, even if, say, God forbid, we stopped existing tomorrow, and we're just using that term metaphorically, okay? So if suddenly Canadians stopped eating, heating their home, driving to work, we just blinked out of existence, it wouldn't make a dent in the global emissions. And so if your concern is global emissions, I'm listening to you, okay? I hand sewed my baby's cloth diapers. I grew up on Vancouver Island. I recycle everything. This is from Value Village. I buy thrift. I buy used. I do my very, very best for the environment. And I know that there are millions of Canadians that are in exactly this same boat. Why don't we use our brains and actually tackle the big end of the arithmetic problem? And here in Canada, we can get private companies to do things like CO2 capture, like I just described. We don't need to be taxing people for the essentials of life. And I really wanted to get to this because I hear what you're saying about everybody switching to electric, correct? Is that the fuel that you're choosing?
I said there's lots of choices. You can move to a higher efficiency vehicle. You can move to a hybrid. There are many ways to reduce your transportation emissions. You don't have to all switch to electric. Eventually, that's where we're going to be. By 2035 or 2040, you won't be able to buy a gas-powered car, but we're in the middle of that transition now. So in the short term, there's lots of other options to get there.
There aren't that many options for people because, frankly, the carbon tax is such a financial punishment for most working people and average families, that if there were an option, say you switch to LED lights from incandescent, or you're opting for paper over plastic, depending on what is the most environmentally sustainable solution nowadays. Again, I was born in the 70s. I remember when plastic bags were brought in to save the trees for environmental reasons. Now we've come full circle and we're using paper bags again. So there is not a simple switch here for most people when it comes to finding an alternative, abundant, sustainable, and affordable energy solution. In fact, there's been calculations done where, say, Santa Claus brought everybody in the province of British Columbia an electric car, okay, for free. It didn't cost them anything. Just by switching over private transportation and bare bones, like your pipes probably won't freeze level heating, we would need 9 new Site C dams. That's just British Columbia. And so when I hear you're saying they just need to make the switch, number one, it's not available for most people right now. Average working families, not available for them. Otherwise, they would have.
Okay, let me jump in here.
Nobody wants to be paying through the nose. Where's the juice coming from?
Let me jump in here, Chris, and get you to speak to one aspect of this carbon pricing policy that has been, I think, quite misunderstood, and that is the federal government said to every province, if you have your own made in Alberta, made in Ontario, made in British Columbia policy, then the people in that province don't have to pay the carbon tax. And that's the way we had it in the province of Ontario until 2018. We had cap and trade, which the previous government had brought in, and therefore Ontarians didn't pay the carbon tax. However, after the Doug Ford Conservatives came to power, they canceled cap and trade, which meant we now have to pay the carbon tax. And I guess my question is, do you find it ironic that for a provincial government that is beating the drum for axing the tax has its citizens paying this tax because of a decision they made?
There is an ongoing fight between these provinces. Now, Ontario is switching to cap and trade versus how much they're paying for the carbon tax. I don't have that math in front of me exactly to tell you how much that is trickling down for savings for the consumer versus cost for the consumer. However, very recently, more recently, in fact, than Premier Doug Ford deciding to get rid of cap and trade and opting to fight Trudeau on his carbon tax, we have the example of Nova Scotia. So for the longest time, folks in Nova Scotia were on their own system, so much so that the full implementation of the federal carbon tax was delayed for them. That's why all of a sudden this erupted last summer. So the rest of us in places like Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba here out west, we've been steadily paying the increasing carbon tax. But in places like Nova Scotia, they had a sudden sticker shock on July 1st, just this past year. So all of a sudden, they went from around 2.5 cents per liter of gasoline all the way up to 12, and now it's up to 17 cents per liter. This is why there was this sudden sticker shock over the summer. And what's interesting here is that the premier there in Nova Scotia, they said, hey, we came to the government several times with our own version of cap and trade or a way to reduce emissions, our own made in Nova Scotia way to reduce emissions, and it wasn't good enough for the Trudeau government. And now we're even seeing a provincial Liberal premier in Newfoundland and Labrador saying, guys, this is unfair. We need to get rid of this tax. So I actually find it really interesting that this is now crossing party lines. Here in Alberta, the provincial NDP has at least, I think it's 2 major candidates who are running to replace former leader Rachel Notley, who are now saying no more carbon tax. And this is coming from a party that imposed one provincially. So I really do think that the tide has turned on this. As far as getting the data breakdown on how much it's costing Ontarians on cap and trade versus current consumer carbon tax, I would have to get back to you and give you the math.
Okay, with just a few, boy, the time has really flown by here. With just a few minutes to go, Stuart, I wonder if I could get you to speak to this. We know what the polls say. Everybody knows what the polls say. There are obviously a lot of people who anticipate that whenever the next federal election happens, the Liberals are going to be out, the Conservatives are going to be in, and if Pierre Poilievre keeps his promise and, quote unquote, axes the tax, that'll be it for this policy. Can you tell us what, in your judgment, the consequences would be if this policy were cancelled?
Well, if the policy is cancelled and it's not replaced by another one, Canada's emissions are going to stop going down and we're going to go up. And that's not just about us. I mean, this is a global bargain, right? All countries in the world except Iran and Libya have agreed to reduce their carbon emissions. So if Canada decides it's not going to do its share, and that's what Stephen Harper decided, he pulled us out of the treaty last time, then why should other countries, why should India, why should China, why should Europe, why should America do its share if we're not doing our share? And this is what troubles me about what Chris is saying, actually, is she's saying, look, the solution to this is to produce more gas and sell it to India. And sure, that's part of the solution. This is a global problem, but we've got to do our part too. You know, we shouldn't give up contributing to global poverty relief, contributing to NATO, because we're only a small part of it. We're one of the wealthiest countries in the world. We've got to lead by example if we want other countries to live up to their commitments. And so if all the people criticizing a carbon price don't have another alternative, they don't have another option for here's how I would reduce Canada's emissions. We are moving towards a low carbon economy. We're going to be, in 10 to 15 years, we'll have emissions-free vehicles. We'll live in highly insulated, energy-efficient homes. We'll have industries that are running off of clean power. And if we're smart, if we have policies like the carbon price, we'll be punching above our weight in generating the jobs and growth in doing that. We'll be building electric vehicles and low-emission vehicles in Ontario. We'll be making carbon-free cement and aluminum in Canada. And the carbon price is part of that transition. Sure, there are costs in any policy, but those costs are coming down. 10 years ago, electric vehicles and clean energy were completely unaffordable. No one has them. And now electric vehicles are the highest increasing vehicle in the market because costs are coming down, and they're going to keep coming down as we drive demand and we drive innovation. That's what happens with new technologies.
Okay, Stuart, I gave you the first word, so I'm going to give Chris the last word on this. Chris, you've got the last minute. Go ahead.
I just wanted to reach out to people right now who are struggling with affordability. We hear you. In fact, we're hearing more and more from you every single week. And so hang in there. We do think that we're going to eventually see some affordability relief when it comes to scrapping the carbon tax. And as far as solutions go, again, there are lots of homegrown solutions that we can do. Like I just described, private companies are already doing CO2 capture, very similar to the way that we will capture aluminum in the waste stream and we recycle it and we reuse it. That doesn't need to have a massive tax on people. And so there's a way to tackle the issue of global emissions without tying ourselves down to an expensive carbon tax for folks here at home in Canada. And I just wanted to go over those numbers again really quick for you. So right now it's going to cost people 17 cents extra per liter of gasoline. To fill up an average family minivan, that's an extra $13 per fill up. If you're filling up a big rig truck, that's an extra $200 or so extra just in the carbon tax on your diesel. It's this layering effect. And now you work in the farmers keeping their chicken barns warm, right? Or drying their grain using propane and natural gas. This is why we're seeing the layering effect of the increased cost of the carbon tax. And so we're imploring all levels of government, we don't care which party it is, to turn around on this thing and to scrap the carbon tax.
Okay, friends, that's our time. Forgive me, I'm jumping in here. That's our time. I want to thank both of you, too, for a very civilized yet sparky discussion here on TVO tonight about a very interesting policy. Chris Sims, the Alberta Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, Stuart Elgee, University of Ottawa, and Director of the Smart Prosperity Institute. My thanks to both of you very much.
Thank you.
Do you know what a carbon rebate is?
No.
Have you received a carbon rebate?
Yeah, actually, like, I received it this year.
I haven't received anything. I don't know about it. Yeah.
Carbon rebate, yes, but it's not enough compared to the amount of tax we're paying for it.
Have you received a carbon rebate?
I think I might have. I think so. I haven't. Yes, I think so.
Did we receive something from the government?
I think we might have, yeah. I don't know if it was labeled as carbon rebate or something else, but yeah, I think we did, yeah.
Carbon rebate is, yes, we're getting it back from the government, and which is great because, we're putting out all that money before, and yeah, so at least they're going to show something for it.
Hello, my name is Mr. Abrema. I'm a grade 12 student, and my question is it possible if we start now, are we able to combat global warming and reverse the effects of climate change? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I've always been kind of I like nature a lot, and it really saddens me when I see habitat loss and the effects of natural disasters that are caused by global warming stuff, like what happened in BC, the forest fires were very, very sad. I just wanted to know, if it's possible, can we start, if we start now, the whole world as a collective, can we change and revert, the world back to where it was 100 years ago?
Hello, fellow TV Ontario fans. My name is Dawn Baisley, and I'm a biology professor at York University in Toronto. I'm here to answer Ontario high school student Mistura's important question about climate change. I hope both she and you will find my answer helpful and hopeful. Before we talk about the whys of global warming and how people, especially women and children without access to the cooling effects of trees or air conditioning, are feeling its effects the most, let's ask if there are science-based solutions. The short answer is yes. Scientists have known about and studied climate change for decades. This is the Keeling curve, named for Charles David Keeling. He started monitoring atmospheric levels of the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide in 1958, before I was even born. It's been rising since the Industrial Revolution. By burning coal, oil, and natural gas, which is another fossil fuel called methane, we are putting that carbon back into the air. And it's heating up the Earth, thanks to the greenhouse effect. Data-based global warming models show that we must drastically cut greenhouse gas emissions to avoid speeding up warming even more. Ironically, ancient photosynthesis got us here, and it can now help to cool our world. The One Planet, One Health framework recognizes that everything is connected. Global warming, greenhouse gases, biodiversity, people, and pandemics. Young people know that action needs political will. Many of these photos are from the youth-led Toronto Climate March in 2019. It was inspired by Greta Thunberg, who started the Fridays for Future movement. So, Mistura, we have solutions to address climate change, but mobilizing the political will has not been and will not be easy. We have lost too many species to reverse the ecosystem changes that you asked about, but we can stop runaway ecosystem change caused by global warming and greenhouse gases. How? Well, I'm a scientist who is working with artists to develop stories that help non-scientists imagine different futures, like in the novel The Ministry for the Future. The project is called Manufactured Ecosystems, and it welcomes everybody to work together, scientists and artists, because as a scientist, I know that people really don't want to know just the facts.
A love of animals and nature motivated Debbie Nightingale of the Oat Goat Farm to leave city life behind.
I'm Farmer Debbie. We created this crazy magical place called Oat Goat Farm, which kind of has evolved over the years because people have a real desire to join us out here in nature with animals and all that great stuff. I always dreamed of being in the country, always, because I've always loved animals. But I married a man who was not so excited about the country or animals or dirt or any of that stuff. He retired, decided he did like animals, that they were okay. I said, fantastic, I want to get some goats. His jaw dropped. And I brought home my first 4 little Nigerian dwarf goats. So the Nigerian dwarf goats are one of 2 pygmy goats. Pygmies are one and the Nigerians are the other. The Nigis, as we call them in the trade, are the dairy goats. And that's sort of how we started. So we had our 4 little goats. Friends and family heard about it. They called and said, could we come and see the goats? And we said, of course, come share our joy, because these guys are incredible. And what happened was they came, and then they told people about it. And so every Saturday, 30 or 40 people would show up at the farm in Campbellford and say, we're here to see the goats. Until it dawned on us that we weren't the only ones who really craved being outside and in the country and nature, where you don't hear ambulances and police cars and noise and all that other stuff. And that's really and truly how it all started. Everyone's so disconnected, I feel like. I mean, I really do believe that. You know, when you're sitting in a car in Toronto and you can't move and somebody's honking at you or you're honking at them, you're so, I don't know how to describe it other than disconnected. Whereas when you can be here and you can take a deep breath and you can sort of be in sync with the animals, it's a different plane, it's a different level. It's a quietude, it gives you a chance to really think and process stuff. There are real scientific benefits to interacting with animals. They can reduce your stress hormones. The cortisol actually can come down if you're interacting with goats. That's for sure. If you really are able to sort of get into the relaxation and the connection, you end up breathing at the same rate as the goat, and that calms them down as well. They force you to be in the moment, and that's more important than anything. You know, you sort of forget all the other stuff, hopefully you're able to do that. But they force you to do that because they are that. They are in the moment. They're very present, and they encourage you to do the same. It's a very large property. I don't know how it happened. We have a very large property. Like the whole east section was not really being used. And so one of my kids said to me, why don't you make a disc golf course? I said, what's disc golf? And he showed me. And I teamed up with a fellow in Peterborough who's a disc golf course designer who's amazing, and he carved out a gorgeous disc golf course. And so that way other people are coming, more people are coming to use the farm, and it makes me so happy to see people traipsing back and forth, sitting here. They sit in front of my house, they have a picnic. It's the most wonderful thing. We purposely do not charge admission just to come in and walk around. We thought it was really important for anybody to be able to come and see the animals. We do charge if you want to do an experience, but we really also wanted people to be able to come without issue. So we often get single moms in the summer with their kids just coming and hanging out at the bench and watching the babies play and all that stuff. And although we don't advertise it, if somebody calls and says, I really want to do a such and such, but I really just don't have the money, we find a way to work with them. I had a very close relative passed away Sunday night, and Monday I was really I couldn't find somewhere to sit. And so I went and I literally sat on the hay bale in the middle of the horses, and they comforted me. You know, one of them actually put her head, wrapped her head around me. It's like, it's like, wow. I mean, my favorite thing, first of all, we get people here who cry before they even get to the goats because they're so excited. And then they cry again with the goats. It's the most beautiful thing, though. And they're a bit embarrassed, and we say, no, it's wonderful. But sometimes, a woman will bring her husband who doesn't really want to be here, and by the end, you can't get him out of the goat playground because a goat has, nestled into his arms, and just he falls in love. And it's the most beautiful thing. We have alpacas, we have horses, we have Icelandic horses, which are really cool. We have a great big mule named Lucy May. We have a little miniature horse. We've got chickens, of course. And we just got kuni pigs, who we've completely fallen in love with.
I just want to cuddle one.
There are sometimes people who are a little bit nervous or nervous of one particular kind of animal. And so we never push anybody. We'll say, want to wait outside? Do you want to stand beside me? How do you want to handle this? And often if you give them a little bit of time and a breath, and they see the animals calm and whatever, they'll come in and they'll, sort of get over their fears. So, and that's quite beautiful actually when that happens. I feel so lucky that we can give this experience to people and see the joy that it brings to them. We had a high-powered PR firm call us, and they said, we want to do goat yoga for a client, but we want to check it out first to see what it's like. So I said, okay, good, come. We set them up. There was about 8 of them. Lovely people, but real high-powered Toronto people. And I came down to watch at one point, and all of a sudden I saw 8 of the goats out of 10 do kind of a semicircle around the woman who was the company owner. I'd never seen that before. She said, my mother died 2 days ago. I think they were comforting me. And so that stuff happens, and there's a bazillion stories like that. And it's just, it blows me away. Every time.
Late last year, the Green Party of Ontario won just its 2nd seat in the provincial legislature. Steve Paikin went to Queen's Park to find out what that meant to the party and the new MPP.
Get interested in democracy. Exactly. We want all the next generation.
How many times had you been in this building before you got elected?
0.
Seriously?
Once. No, once. We did a presser. Yeah, one time. Yeah, my campaign manager was walking in and I was like,
So the first time that you actually walked onto the floor of the chamber of the legislature was as an MPP. Is that right?
We did a tour, so with the swearing in, but yeah, past the front row seats, basically, yeah.
Can you describe for us what that moment was like as you got ushered into the chamber for the first time as a member of the legislature by your leader?
monumental, I guess. There's so many emotions that you're going through. It's hard to put a name on just one of them. So it was exciting. It was nerve-wracking. It was terrifying. I mean, yeah. So I use the word terraciting, you know.
Terraciting.
Terraciting.
Terrifying and exciting.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody stood and applauded.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen around here very often.
Okay.
So what did you infer from that?
I think that people are decent humans. Like, I like when we all rise. You know, there's so many moments where we're greeting a guest, somebody who's had a birthday or an achievement, or a visitor who's given many years of service, or groups that are here to learn. So, you know, I think there's a great respect amongst all my colleagues for a lot of important occasions.
Our impression is there's not very much collegiality that goes on in these hallways. Is that a mistaken impression?
I do think it is a mistaken impression. I think, you know, I mean, as Greens, we always say put people before party. So what that means is we build relationships across all the party spectrum. And so I've had a great mentor in Mike Schreiner who is very liked and has good relationships in all the parties. So it's definitely what the Green Party puts out there and what we think we're voted in for. So I can't speak for everyone else, but I think we try to make sure that on one hand, we can kind of hold the government accountable and speak truths and put forward good solutions, but also recognize when they've done something really helpful.
Well, I saw Mike Schreiner get up in the House today, and he sort of did that. He started his speech by saying, I want to thank the government for.
Yes.
Now, if you want to finish the job, here's what else you can do.
Exactly.
So it's constructive opposition.
Yeah, I think that's how we hope to earn respect across the political spectrum, is by not being just black and white and negative or positive or just critical 100% of the time. I think it's important that we strike a balance.
I beg to inform the House that the clerk has received from the Chief Electoral Officer and laid upon the table a certificate of the by-election in the electoral district of Kitchener Centre.
When you walked in with Mike Schreiner for the first time, you took a wrong turn on the way to your seat. What happened there?
Well, as a social worker, I always talk about the lid flipping. So, you know, in our brains, our thinking brain sometimes gets hijacked and takes a little vacation when we're under a bit of stress. So even though we'd rehearsed things and they told me about the mace and like, don't go, wait, you know, don't shake right away. We got to do this thing first. So yeah, just the nerves. But yeah, that's okay. It helped me show my backwards robot, you know, which I know everybody really wanted to see.
That was very funny, actually. Yes.
I gotta do this first. I gotta do this first. Speaker, I have the honor to present to you and to the House Ashlyn Clancy, member for the electoral district of Kitchener Centre, who has taken the oath and signed the roll and now claims the right to take her seat.
Now you're good. Let the honourable member take her seat.
Now, the first time I had to say your name on the air, I butchered it, like almost everybody does, because it's spelled A-I-S.
Yes.
L-I-N-N, but you do not pronounce it Aislinn. You pronounce it Ashlyn.
Yeah.
So what's the story there?
Well, it's funny because it's a beautiful moment in time. I was in an equity conversation as a school social worker, and somebody told this beautiful story about like growing up and the teacher is not saying your name properly and just going with the flow, and then we're kind of reclaiming pronunciation as a sign of respect. So I'm grateful that I'm, you know, here in a moment in time where people want to say your name properly. So yeah, I'm Irish. My dad was born in Ireland, and so I always say Sean, S-E-A-N. You know, we always get that S right. That's my S, the Gaelic S. So proud to be Irish, and proud that I'm at a moment when people are taking a moment to ask people how to pronounce their names.
For the longest time, and I think I've covered every election that the Greens have run candidates, because that goes back to the 1980s.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, this party has only ever been able to elect one person, and you're number two. What does that mean to you?
I I think folks realize the importance of climate. They realize that we stand for more than just climate. I think I was at a moment in time where people were disenfranchised with the old line parties. You know, they kind of have their lines that they say, and they try to stand for all things instead of sticking their neck out for certain things. So I also am lucky to have Mike Morris, our MP, voted in locally.
Got the same riding.
Exactly. So people saw what it meant to elect a Green, that you have someone whose vote isn't whipped, who can speak with authenticity about the wishes and needs of their community and how hard he works, and Mike Schreiner as well. So, you know, a lot of things came together in this moment to build confidence that voting Green was the right decision for people.
I am betting, though, that there are a lot of people who will watch this who will think, you know, if you're a member of a majority government, you can get some stuff done. If you're the member of the official opposition, you can make a lot of noise and bring some attention to things. If you're one of two in a room of 124, what can you really accomplish? What's the answer to that?
Well, Mike Schreiner, when we were chatting about the possibility of me running, gave me a bunch of examples about moving the needle, right? So we think about housing. He put forward a brilliant campaign on legalizing housing. I don't think that's the end. We've sparked political will. We are bringing forward solutions that aren't going to add millions and billions of dollars to the budget items, you know? So I think by bringing forward good solutions, by building political will, we really move the needle. And we always say, if people want to steal our ideas, like 407 tolls, for example, getting rid of those for truckers, if people want to take those ideas that we bring forward and build them into their party platform, it's a compliment. We always say people before party. Of course, you know, we work behind the scenes with all the people in the governing party to try to make sure we deliver for our community, make sure we're advocating for our community. But there's more to just politics than voting for something. You know, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes to shaping whatever gets put forward and also getting other work done.
So you can have an influence at the margins or beyond?
No, I think we shift the conversation. You know, I was talking to an MPP the other day who didn't really understand what a heat pump was. You know, so that to me says, okay, Ashlyn, if you want heat pumps to become a norm in Ontario, my work begins that if I'm sitting down at the cafeteria table with any MPP in the House, I want to check in with them about our shared values, right? So a lot of politics goes on behind the scenes when we're trying to move forward the agenda, make amendments, build support for something that maybe it doesn't get recognized as our idea, but gets incorporated into other policies. So I think we say punch above our weight.
I didn't know that. So you're not allowed to drink coffee on the ledge?
No, no snacks.
Okay.
Food. Yeah.
Huh. So you got to come ready.
Yeah.
You got to be satisfactorily caffeinated before you get in that chamber.
Or get in the back room and have your snacks there while you watch TV.
Right. It is one of the traditions of this place that when a new member gets elected, at some point the premier either writes them a letter or comes over and shakes hands or something like that. Mm-hmm. That happen?
Yeah, we said hello when I joined.
You did?
Yeah, and then since then people have been kind of hopping over and saying hi. So people have been pretty friendly, and you know, in our little gaggle of independence, people kind of give me tips and cheer me on, you know. So yeah.
Do $1 billion reno here.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Get voted in just to move down the street.
That's it? Well, do you know where they're going to move?
I don't know anything.
No?
Yeah.
Because I gather they're looking at a bunch of different properties. What do you remember about the day you were sworn in?
People's friendliness. Like lots of people coming over, looking forward to working with me, and you know, a lot of kindness. You know, I know we you know, if people go to question period, they should see that there is a lot of back and forth, which I don't think is great for our profession. But at the same time, there's another side to those things that, you know, many kinds of people outside of that moment in time.
Oh, this feels so fantastic to double the Ontario Green Caucus and to know that I've got a friend in the House sitting right next to me.
She is going to be right behind you, isn't she?
She will be right behind me, absolutely. And I think the two of us are going to make a perfect team together.
I went to your swearing in, and I'm going to show you the thing that stays with me.
Okay.
Because I snapped a little picture.
Oh, that's sweet.
And here's the picture that I remember very well.
Gonna make me cry. Oh, that's That's my kids, yeah.
You look like you're having a bit of a moment there.
Yeah, I feel like I really admire Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand. She's like just herself. You know, I want to be authentic, and I cried during my inaugural speech. I'll probably cry again. To my partner, Ryan, I know we're all making sacrifices for me to be away from you and the kids. I hope I make you proud by sharing all your nerdy optimism, taking the solutions you share with me that are in full swing across the globe, and to push for a green economy that you believe in. To my kids, thank you for breaking my heart in ways I never knew possible. I will work as hard as I can to ensure that you and all the children of Ontario will have a chance for a healthy future, with a roof over your head and all the tools you need to thrive. It's okay to be tender. To my fellow MPPs, I think as a social worker and as a person, as a kid, like, you know, pull up your socks, don't feel certain things, but I think I am an emotional person, and I think there's some wisdom there. So yeah, I'm gonna lean into that. I hope to enter this chamber and to every interaction with humility and compassion, and sometimes a joke. I'm Irish.
You got elected in a by-election, which means you're not going to serve a full term before you have to go back to the people and get them to either bring you back or not. So you got 2.5 years. Is that a bit daunting?
It's a blessing and a curse. It's tiring, but it's important. Like, I've met a lot of people, and as a city councillor before that, I was in touch with different stakeholders. I was representing people. People saw the work that I was doing. So while I do want to continue to always earn and the respect and trust of Kitchener Centre, I think I've built a bit of a foundation, and luckily with the Green Party, I think we really work really hard to show that we have integrity, we stick our neck out on issues, and we're really connected to our community members. So
complete the following sentence for me then. My time in politics, however long it lasts, will have been worth it if what?
We show some leadership on climate and equity. I think we need to point our ship in the right direction for future generations. And right now, the gap between rich and poor, and the gap between where we need to be with transition, we're not there. So that's where I want us to point our ship.
You know, Ashlyn, someday, regardless of how long you serve here, you've won an election. Someday, your name's going to be engraved up on the wall here like so many others. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm sure we all grew up and your mom was like, don't color on the wall. So it's pretty incredible. You know, I'm humbled by it. Like, I didn't get into this gig because I'm looking for power or riches. I got into this because I really felt like I had the courage to represent my community for those reasons. And so, yeah, it's a real honor.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Here's a look at something we're working on.
I'm afraid we're probably entering another period where the risk of nuclear war is going to go up, this time not between two superpowers, but by nuclear proliferation.
That's coming up on the agenda.